Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Shadow Roundtable. Today, we're going to be discussing the off-Broadway show coming to the ART theaters in the Jeffrey and Paula Gurall Theater. The show is going to run from the 1st of December to the 16th, so I'm so excited for you guys to learn more about this show. I have read the script, I cried, I laughed, I felt all the emotions, and I really want to dive in today with the producers and actors of the show so you guys can get a little taste of what's to come. Just so you have a little bit of backstory, it's about a struggling 30-year-old singer who faces a diagnosis of an early onset dementia, while her girlfriend is also diagnosed with a terminal illness. As the disease progresses, the love story becomes about how she can hold on to the memory of the person she loves and just so much more. I'd love to introduce some of the cast that we have here today. So we'll start with our amazing playwright, director, and producer, Anthony Laura. This little wave. Welcome. We have Annetta Burning playing Ariana Cooper. We have Annie Grace Payne playing Kensley Coleman. We have Katia Mendoza playing Lindsay L. Cooper. She's also a producer on the show. It's pretty epic. We have Susan Newfer playing Stella Anders. And then we have Mary Blake playing Tatum. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. I want to kind of open it up and just, see what you guys are really excited about for this show. And Anthony, I want to start with you. What inspired you to write this show?
So the show we did last year, Girl with the Red Hair, dealt a lot with memory. As I started to research going into this play, the statistics I found about early onset were at first very alarming in what I didn't know about it. A lot of what I feel has been presented has been from about 50 and above. So by starting there, the play we're doing this last year, Shadows, and the play next year are a trilogy about memory. And now really settling in to understand what Annie Grace's character Kensley is going through and how it links to early onset is something that I wasn't aware of. So I really just wanted to kind of explore and tell this love story between Kensley and Lindsay by opening it up to this area that was really, really fascinating to me.
That's something I definitely learned when I was reading the script as well. I had no idea that this could affect people so young, and I was shocked. So Katia, as playing Lindsay, obviously you have a pretty big shift in your character throughout the show. How, as an actor, are you preparing for that? Are you kind of attacking it as two different roles almost, or what's your strategy going into this?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, it's really just getting into the research of what that is and how that affects people, symptoms. And then I guess, for lack of a better phrase, just kind of take it all away after that. Once that's really in you and once you know that, really just start to play the character and what those relationships are, and just letting that kind of incorporate into the scenes rather than playing an illness. I think that's definitely a trap a lot of us, like me included, could probably get caught up on. So yeah, just really sticking moment to moment, I think for this is something that is just vital.
I love that. Now, Annie Grace, you obviously have a relationship with Katia's character, Lindsay. Kensley and Lindsay have such a tight knit relationship, and it obviously changes a lot throughout the show. What for you makes a great scene partner, and how are you working to build chemistry beforehand for something like this?
Yeah, I think just being open is the best way you can work with each other as actors, being open in the scene and to each other and the material, and letting it, whatever happens naturally, just to come forth. I've gotten the opportunity to hang out with Katia some. I'm such a fan. She's so awesome. So thankfully, I don't think we have to work too hard for the chemistry. I think she's a great gal.
It's pretty exciting. You guys have amazing credits, and it's just going to be a great show. So I can't wait to see it, and I know you guys will bring that to life on stage for sure. Aneta, your character Ariana, she also, you know, has kind of a large character arc in this as well. I think for at least what I took away with the script, a lot of these scenes kind of start off playful and funny and, you know, a little witty, but then they slowly escalate into these, or I shouldn't even say slowly, they quickly escalate into these maybe explosions or sisterly fights or, you know, Ariana has a lot to say, I think, to people, and people have a lot of feelings about her. So how are you kind of attacking that in the scenes? Like, are you bringing humor, drama? What's kind of your approach with that?
Well, I guess, excuse me, I think I see a lot in myself as well in Ariana in terms of a sisterly bond. I have a sister, and we all know how tumultuous sister bonds and relationships can be. And also, I think, you know, it's a natural thing to be opinionated, but you don't necessarily want, you know, not every situation is the appropriate time to voice that. So I think for her, um, it's just when you are this close with a sister, but at the same time have that hard balance between when are you my sister versus when is this a professional relationship. I think that's a really interesting balance that I'm really trying to dive into, and to find this balance, and her inner struggle as well to find the right moments to have these explosions. And I think it's a very natural thing that if you have been suppressing that for too long, I think it's a sign that for her she's been focusing so much on the professional relationship, and it needs to be outed after at a certain point. So yeah.
I don't have a sister, but I have a brother or two, and the fights that I get with them, the rage that fills your body is unlike anything else. So I'm sure channeling that. Katya, I don't know if you have siblings, because I know you guys will play sisters. That was actually one of my questions, if you were taking any moments of your real life and bringing this to the show. But it sounds like Aneta definitely is.
Oh my gosh, yes. I grew up with 3 brothers, so no sisters. So that kind of is a different dynamic, but there's definitely that sense of just wanting to be right so badly and fighting so hard, but also, you know, I think a lot of siblings don't always, I mean, I'm going to speak for myself, but I guess we don't always show that physical love to each other, or rather don't always say I love you to each other, but it's still there and it's shown in other ways. So I think, yeah, and there's definitely some of that sprinkled with Ariana and Lindsay. So definitely bringing in from real life.
Love that. Mary, your role as Tatum, in the script, I feel like Tatum pops in and out in like pretty key moments. What do you feel like your character is really bringing to this show? And maybe what are some of the parts that you're excited about or that seem challenging?
Yeah, what I love about Tatum and what immediately jumped out to me when I read the script was just the platonic friendship and platonic love that they have for each other. And I think that's such an important aspect of any woman's life. And it's I think sometimes put to the side in favor of romantic relationships in popular media. And so it was just so nice to see their relationship and how much they love each other and the levity that it brings to the play in some ways. And so I think I'm just excited to explore that relationship more with Katya because we haven't worked on it yet.
I was going to ask, this can be open to the group, but like at what point are you guys in production? How is it feeling? Is there anything that you guys have been particularly excited about at a table read that you can share with us? Maybe a few teasers that Anthony, obviously, and Katya, don't let me spoil anything, but if there's something maybe bubbling that everyone's getting excited about, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, we're very early on right now. So we are doing our official table read next week. So I've been meeting with actors and talking through email about some of the changes that have been going on this past month or so. But we officially start to dive in on the 26th.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure the chemistry will just be off the charts. I did want to ask Susan, what is it like for you to be part of a full woman ensemble? Anyone can answer this question too, but I'd love to start with Susan. I think it's super special, and I love how small and tight knit this group is. And I think that'll just be amazing on stage. But what's it like behind the scenes?
Well, this is my first time meeting everyone, so I'm very excited about it. And yeah, you know, I'm glad now my character is part of the family, so I'm happy about that. And yeah, it's I think it's great to see women on stage and show them as complex characters and show all the different facets that each the characters represent, you know, of the human condition. So I think it's very exciting, and I'm really thrilled to be part of it.
I think it's exciting too. We have someone like Jessa, and then we have all the ages in between, and then we get to see lots of different wide ranges of womanhood. And then obviously there's tragedy that comes along with that, but also, like Mary said, a ton of platonic love and sisterly love that surrounds these characters. I'm so excited to see it come to life. Kinsley, Annie Grace, besides yourself, which actor in this production do you think is just going to blow people away? I know you guys have not done a table read yet, but I'd love if you could gas up one of your fellow castmates.
Well, here's the truth. This is also kind of my first time meeting everyone. I've met Katia, I've worked with her a little bit. So I'll say everyone. I'm excited for everyone to just pop off and kind of going off. I think it's so cool to be a part of an all-female cast. It's small, so I think we really get to, know each other and work well together. So everyone, absolutely everyone.
Amazing. And Annetta, what do you hope that people take away from this show at the end of it? When they walk out of the theater, what are you hoping people are thinking about?
Actually, there's so many things this play brings to light. I think, all the types of love and relationship and that love will always win. And obviously also awareness around early onset dementia. And personally, I'm really looking forward to diving into working on that sisterly bond and really having people see themselves in that as well, and having them feel that, they're not alone in this. And that, maybe it's not talked about a lot in storytelling, and like having so many female voices give a brand new perspective perhaps to these types of stories and relationships. So I'm really excited about that, and I hope that's what is really remembered.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of ups and downs and beautiful relationships to look at and leave the show feeling good, happy, sad. Like I said, I laughed, I cried. I think there's so much in each scene that you can feel. And yeah, I hope everyone feels it the way I did when I was reading the script. Katia, for you, how do you think Lindsay and I guess all the characters at some point sort of do this, play off the audience potentially as almost like another character in this show? There's a lot of moments where Lindsay is just speaking to the crowd. How does that kind of play into the show?
Yeah, so essentially, and Anthony, please stop me if this is something I can't say, but essentially the audience they're people in Lindsay, like they're friends in her head, essentially is what they are. And so she's just kind of trying to sort through her thoughts as she's speaking these things out. And I think, honestly, I don't know if I put too much thought into the reactions, but I definitely think, of course, there's every single night, there's going to be a different energy. And I think just, of course, feeding off of my fellow creatives, all of the other actresses here, is a big thing. And I think just not letting it get so, I guess, in the head with with the interactions and the reactions and whatnot, but just, sticking to the story and with the relationships and everything. Yeah.
Anthony, question for you. When you guys were casting, and obviously you're still in early days of all of this, so you're still revising, editing, I'm sure. How did casting and finding these actresses kind of play into the writing? Was anything changed when you met an actress? Or for if any of the actresses want to answer, did you kind of, shape the role into something maybe you were seeing for it? I just love to see how maybe there was some collaboration early on.
Yeah, so I think the role always changes once you have an actor on board. So Katya and Mary and Alexandra, who's not here, are the people who were present in the workshops. Mary, the only one playing the same role, but and so the collaboration is really, really important. Even as I'm writing, I will like talk with like Annie, Grace, and Katya, and Annetta, and Mary, and Susan just got here, but just about these changes that I'm thinking about, and to hear it out loud. So, and that's why we do a much longer process than normal. And the reason for that is when I get to the rewriting process, then I'm rewriting in these actors' voices. And it's really, really exciting to see not only what they're connecting to, but how they're connecting to each other.
I think that's great because for me, reading the script, obviously there's so much dialogue. Everything's kind of speaking on top of each other. And I think that's what gives the show so much energy. And I can only imagine how much of that really comes from a little bit of improv and a little bit of chemistry. And like you guys said, like you are starting to meet each other, and the way you speak and the cadence that you perform is going to have to all blend together to make this show what it is on paper. But I'm really excited to see it come to life. Katya, I know you're one of the producers of the show. Is there anything like stage wise, technical wise, that is maybe a little bit different in this show than others that you're excited about? Anything you can kind of share with us what it might look like? I know we're talking theater and it's a little bit less visual than film, but as a film nerd, I have to know what it's going to maybe look like when it comes to life.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I'm so excited for is, and once again, Anthony stopped me. But I'm so excited for the projections that are going to be on stage. That is something that I've never worked for in any production I've been a part of. And so that is something that's going to be really fun. And just how that really just is woven into the story, and how that affects different things, is really something that I'm looking forward to.
And actually, I think we can talk about that if I can go off of that, Ella, because that's something that a lot of people know what we're doing. But we had this idea of how to further get into Lindsay's head, which we didn't experience this in the workshop. So to have projections start to simulate what's happening in her brain. And at first it's kind of fun. It's kind of just like how she's seeing, a flashback to her meltdown and things like that. And then it slowly becomes how it affects her relationships and what happens when the mind goes blank and things like that, which is it's very different in a theatrical form versus a cinematic form where it can be more visual.
Yeah, absolutely. I think seeing how her brain is evolving is obviously up to Katya, but then the visual support is probably going to just make it 10 times more digestible for the audience. So that's really cool. Well, we're almost towards the end, but I guess I just wanted to throw it out to the group. Is there anything that's been particularly challenging when attacking your character that maybe will be leaning on your other fellow actresses in these round tables coming up? Is there something in your character that you're still kind of digesting and working over? I think obviously you have a few months to really work the character to the final form, but if anyone has any thoughts on kind of the direction their character might be headed, I would personally love to hear it.
Well, I think it's interesting that my character had a sibling relationship too with Carmela, with Lindsay and Ariana's mother. So I'm going to have to kind of flesh that out. But that was about as mostly discussed in the last, well, I've in the last 2 scenes that I'm in. So that'll be interesting. Because I was trying to, she said, well, we never knew anything of that was going on. And I said, well, then I've done my job. So I think that was kind of, so going to be challenging.
That line is powerful because it shows that she's kind of hiding something, and that dynamic just gets so much more tense when that's said. That actually leads me to one of my other questions, if no one else wants to chime in on that last one. But without giving too much away, does anyone have a favorite line of dialogue that your character or maybe another character says? It doesn't have to be exact. We don't have our scripts right in front of us, but there were some lines that just made me laugh or shocked me a little bit. So I'd love to hear from y'all if there was anything that stood out.
I adore, so Kensley and Ariana's relationship, I'm obsessed with. I love it. I think it's so funny. And I think it's like in the beginning of the show, probably the first scene where Ariana just kind of like busts in on Kensley and Lindsay. And I'm like, okay, what do you want? And Kensley's like, she's 1 Dalmatian short for her coat. And I think it's just like little subtle like jabs like that are so like witty and fun to, especially in the midst of like a show that is dealing with topics such as these.
I did like that one. That was in the new script that I got, and that made me chuckle as well. It's the classic sibling rivalry or like jabs. And also, if anyone knows that's had a partner for a long time, they often get close with your siblings, and then that dynamic is always pretty funny. So I agree. I think the Ariana Kinsley relationship is one people are going to enjoy. Cool. Anthony, I don't know if there's anything else that you want people to know about the show before we kind of wrap, or if there's anything you're particularly excited about that you want to share and talk about.
Yeah, we're going to be doing consecutive roundtables straight up until we go up, even that first week. So we're going to be dealing with going deeper into some of the topics that we spoke about today, like roundtables focused on some of the diseases we're going through and things like that. So I'm really excited for people, especially as we start rehearsing, just getting to know the actors and characters more, because it's the strongest ensemble I've ever worked with. So I'm really excited.
It's pretty apparent you guys are going to crush it. So I will be waiting behind the scenes for this to come to life. Thank you to everyone who joined our roundtable today. I want to reiterate that the show is coming to ART theaters in the Jeffrey and Paula Garal Theater. The show is going to run from December 1st to the 16th, and ticketing will begin on shadowstheplay.com. Please get a ticket. Please support. I think it's going to be incredible. If I'm in New York City, I will be front row, laughing, crying, cheering. You can count me in. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you to the actors and writers.